So if Cancer rules your seventh house, what does this mean about your relationships, your most important partnerships, and your emotional inner world and how they tie together? Let's talk first of all about what the seventh house is. This is your house of partnerships, and it's often thought about as related to romantic partnerships, and that's absolutely true, especially when we're talking long-term spouse or just long-term relationships, as opposed to the fifth house would cover more like flirtation and very casual types of playful energy that is not necessarily a long-term committed thing. So, seventh house, partnership, yes, romantic relationships, but it's also all about your business partnerships, colleagues, clients, friends. All of these different relationships show up here. If you think of the first house as being you, how you show up in the world, the seventh house is its opposite. It's where you meet the world. It's where you meet the other. So let's dive into Cancer ruling the seventh house. And this is part of a series on house rulership. We're looking at this through the lens of Western astrology and the whole house system, whole sign house system. So Cancer is all about the inner, private, emotional world. Cancer rules deep feelings. The symbol is the crab. And you can think of Cancer energy as like being just wrapped up in a cozy blanket on the couch at home while the rain pours down outside and being in your own private space. Cancer is very inner energy. It's that deep internal world. And it's all about your emotions and your emotional life and the deepest, most tender feelings. So, if your seventh house is ruled by Cancer, your emotional world and feeling safe in partnership is going to be everything. This is going to be key. This is also, when you've done your own work, a strength that you will bring to your partnerships. The biggest challenge you want to look out for with a Cancer ruled seventh house is not losing yourself in the emotional world of a relationship. And that could look different ways. Maybe it is about becoming very clingy and needy, or maybe you are the caretaker and maybe you lose yourself in the role of the mothering, taking care of the other. So, wherever, however it might show up, an unmet energy or an unevolved energy, we might say here, is going to show up in somehow these intense emotional dynamics ruling you by not being consciously connected to the deep needs that are there. And of course, it's when you do meet those deep needs and meet them in yourself that you then have this very beautiful, powerful ability to show up with an incredible emotional connection that is going to be such an important, rock solid part of your relationship. And again, we're also thinking about business relationships and friends. Obviously, those are going to look different in how the deep inner emotional world will show up, but there's still going to be that importance and that key of having safety, having emotional connection, and having relationships feel like a space where you can be you and where you can be like the deepest, most private parts of you. Again, that's not all going to show up in every business relationship, but there's going to be an essence to it that's key to make it work. Regulation versus dysregulation can show up in this house in clinginess. Again, when you're in like sympathetic stress, that may come through in clinging and needing and anxiety and hypervigilance about attending to the other person and how they responded. Or it could show up in its opposite and more of a dorsal response and a withdrawal. But either way, there's a need that's not being met, and there is a deep emotional need that is important to allow to be present so you can consciously support yourself and let yourself meet and receive and be open to having the deep emotional connection that you're really wired for. And that's what this house is about. You're wired for that depth. You're wired to connect in really beautiful, profound ways. If you have planets in the seventh house, that's going to color this even further. And you can also look to your moon, both the placement and aspects to it, to see more of the dynamics of how your relationships are going to show up, and also any aspects to your descendant. These are all going to color what this will look like and how this will play out for you. But you know, with Cancer on this house, that emotional inner world being a safe part of your relationships is going to be key, and allowing and honoring all of that to be present. All right, so if Cancer rules your seventh, that means that your eighth house of secrets is ruled by the dramatic, fiery Leo. What does that look like? We're going to talk about that in the next video. Please like and subscribe if this has been helpful. And I would love to hear how seventh house Cancer shows up for you. What does it feel like in your relationships? Are you able to fully be you and bring those deep emotional inner places? And what is that like? Sending you lots of love. Take care.